My goodness, there has been a lot of talk online about the event on August 31st all over Australia, which is anti-mass immigration. Of course, you've seen a lot of different opinions and videos, and to be honest, it's been really messy, this event and the organisation of it. And I want to give you my take, and don't worry, it's a positive one. I'm not here to cause division or point fingers or anything like that. The positive thing about this is clearly there is tons of momentum from Australians who want to protect Australian values and want to protect Australia's economy as well. I mean, we have all of these crises like cost of living, energy crisis, housing crisis, and Albanese is taking in record numbers of immigration students. There was a video that went around last week of an Indian student getting $50,000 to come and study in Australia, while Australians are paying, ridiculous amounts for rent, not even being able to get rent and things like that. So there is clearly momentum from Australians to push back against mass immigration. And I think that is such a positive thing that has come out of this. So what's happened for me is when it first got promoted, I promoted it 4 times, I think, in about 2 days because it was gaining momentum. It was incredible. It had the potential to be, and it still has the potential to be, a massive event with lots of different people there voicing concerns about these things. Now, a few days after I promoted it, the organisers kind of put their hand up, and my hope was that the organisers would stay completely anonymous, because when you take the organisers out of the event, it makes the event about the cause and not about the people organising it. It gives the mainstream media less of a narrative to play into, basically, because all they can do is judge the event itself, not the people that are creating the event. Unfortunately, the organisers, or the people at least involved in it, were unable to stay completely anonymous. That's when people were able to dig into those individuals' social media posts and connections and things like that, and then they were able to put a shadow on the event just because of the people that are organising the stage, for example. And, I understand that because, person organising an event does obviously have a huge impact on the tone of the event, etc. However, the event is gaining a lot of momentum, and the point of it, I think, is worthwhile. And so for that reason, as a citizen, as an everyday Aussie who cares about your country, go to the event and see how it goes, But be aware that the people who are organising it have been found online saying really extreme things about white Australia. They're starting a new political party apparently called White Australia. They do have connections with the NSN, which is the self-proclaimed Nazis. But, that's actually a very small amount of people that will be there on the day. On the day, I'm sure there will be families and genuine Australians who just really care about their family and their future. So, it's important what's behind the event and what the potential downfalls of the organisers having been, shown who they are. But at the end of the day, you're just an everyday Aussie who wants to be heard. It feels good to march with, like-minded people, and it feels good to at least feel like, you're being heard. But I want you to understand that as someone like me who has a platform, a big database and things like that, I can't actively promote this event because the organisers didn't stay anonymous. If they had stayed anonymous, it would have been a totally different story. But I am working on serious things like populating the major parties. I've got 3 or 4 court cases up my sleeve at the moment, and I just can't be promoting an event that it might be a perfect storm for the mainstream media to paint the entire freedom movement as actually tied with these extreme views of Nazism and white Australia and things like that. So it's for that reason that I'm not promoting this event. But I don't want you to feel afraid to go and be heard in a large group of people who are like-minded. I think, you can go. And obviously you can stay away from these people that could smear the whole, event. But just be aware that it is very possible that it doesn't matter what happens on that day, the mainstream media are going to find a way to make it seem like a racist, neo-Nazi event. And because of the reasons I pointed out before, it's going to be pretty easy for them to actually be telling the truth when saying that the event actually does have ties with those things. But like I said, as a protest goer, you don't have to be involved with that. You can just go march and go home. It's totally fine. Now, as protest goes in general, some of the best times in my life have been protesting. I mean, it's so exhilarating to walk with hundreds of thousands of people down the main street and have your voices heard. It really is. So I think the protest is going to make you feel good, and, you'll meet new people, and it will be fun, probably. But for me, I want to change the policies that is made in Parliament, and the only way to change the policies is to become the people who make the policies. And that's why I'm not getting distracted from my campaign, which is Replace Them, which is replacethem.com, which is all about us joining the major parties, either of them, and maybe even the Greens as well, and populating/infiltrating them from the inside. Because all of our problems that we are protesting about are coming from the people who are putting in the legislations and the policies. We need to become those people. Is it an easy fix? No. Is it a short fix? No. It's going to take 3 to 6 years, but it actually requires very little energy and it has a very high reward. Whereas this protest, it's high energy and probably a low reward. It'll have a very high instant reward, but not a very long-standing reward, if you know what I mean. So I am very encouraged of the momentum that this event has created, and I think it's great that we're able to mobilise so many Australians to put Australia first and to fight for our rights to be heard and things like that. And I personally won't be attending, but I will be praying for those who are, because something I have realised recently is that I myself have forgotten about prayer. I mean, I pray all the time, but I've forgotten to pray for politicians and for political positive action. And I really learnt recently, I've been doing some, soul searching, I guess you could say. And I think that prayer is something that has been missed in this activism. And I think that it's very egotistical for us, for me, for anyone to think that we can change this, we can fix this, because we cannot fix anything without the help of God. And so I will be praying for the protesters, for the protest organisers, and I'll be praying for the souls of the politicians, for God to intercede in their dark, dark souls. That's the only thing that's going to change their souls. Protesting, I mean, they don't care what we think. They really do not care about us. They barely even care about their own children's futures. I mean, they're selling out Australia left, right and centre. The politicians voted against giving any pain relief or care to babies born alive from late-term abortions. I mean, that's evil. You can't protest to get the ears of these evil people, but you can pray for God to open their souls and their hearts. So I'll be praying for you, and I hope it goes really, really well. And even with the cloud around it and the lack of transparency with organisers, I think it has a potential to be a very unifying event, because the everyday people that are going to this event are going to outnumber the organisers and the neo-Nazis that will try to co-opt it. And you guys know that. You guys know the atmosphere. The mainstream media is going to try to focus on something negative about the event and paint the whole thing as a far-right extremist event, even though 95% of the people going there are going to be people like you and I who just care about this country. So just go, have a great time. If the mainstream media takes a photo of someone doing something dodgy, make sure you're not in the frame, if you want to protect yourself. And, if you're in a situation where you can go because you're curious, you don't have to make a decision on whose side you're on, or if you like the organisers or not. Who cares? At the end of the day, if 100,000 people are in each city, it's going to be a good thing. So that's my take on August 31st, and I will be watching online with great anticipation, and I'll be praying for the safety of everybody so that it all goes well.